You're watching Meet the Movie Press. Today we're going to be talking about the Rogue One trailer, Sausage Party, Pete's Dragon, The Crow, all these villains. It's awesome. Enjoy.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Meet the Movie Press.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. You are tired this week.
A little bit.
A little bit tired.
It was
You've had a busy week,
It was a long week. Out at the Soho House last night. Seeing the new Eddie Murphy movie, because guess what?
Yeah.
I get to talk to him in a few hours. I'm going from you to Eddie Murphy. It's
he
crazy.
is doing interviews today. Very excited about that. What did you think? Are you not embargo?
I have no idea what the rules are, and so I don't want to say anything.
Okay. The trailer looks good, but so did Suicide Squad.
Mr. Church.
So, yeah.
It would. I'll tell you this much. I think I can say this much. It would be a great drinking game. Every time somebody says Mr. Church in this movie, take a drink. You will be dead by the end of the
Okay,
film.
we're going to do that. You can do soft drinks because I know you're not a booze fan. I'll just drink all the fucking wine.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's just dive right in because we have a huge show.
There is a lot to talk about.
Easy there, Hollywood. I thought this was August. I thought it was supposed to be slow.
Yeah.
Alas, it wasn't.
No.
Let's start where everybody wants us to, because we're like that.
Let's start
we're
at the top.
People pleasers.
Start at the top and work our way down.
We'll start at number one,
Okay.
and that's Rogue One.
Yes.
Rogue One dropped a trailer last night.
It did.
Everyone was refreshing their browsers for hours, waiting for this thing to drop during the Olympics. And Simon, what did you think?
I thought it was okay. A lot of people were kind of losing their shit last night, getting super excited about it. I thought it was good. I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm not a diehard Star Wars fan. I enjoy the Star Wars movies. It didn't excite me in the same way that the previous trailer did. And also, I'm just a little bit... I know we knew Darth Vader was going to be in this, but I'm just getting this, and we've discussed this before, I'm just finding there's a little bit too much information in trailers at the moment. And it seems to be this increasing trend in Hollywood. And I'm just like, don't give me too much of the good stuff now. When I watch the movie, I want to have it going... impacting moments like the Han Solo moment in Force Awakens, where you don't know some of these things are coming. Please, Hollywood, leave some surprises for the audience. I'm not going to watch any more Rogue One trailers because I don't want to know or see any much more about the movie. So I'm going to go, okay, I'm leaving it here. It keeps me excited and interested in the film, but it didn't, if I'm honest, blow me away.
I completely agree with you.
Okay,
Sorry,
fine,
I was just
good.
tweeting out the link there. I
thought you were
listening.
just tweeting Simon's a dick.
I was
He
like,
didn't
who the
like
fuck
the
is
Rogue
this guy talking
One.
next to me?
Check out the board guy.
No, so I completely agree with you, actually.
Okay.
I thought it was not as good as the first trailer. It was a step backwards, which is rare. But I guess that first teaser was just so awesome. I really thought it looked great. And I think this movie looks great. I think that it has a look where it assuages.
Yeah.
People's fears in lieu of some of the stories that have been written about Rogue One, reshoots, that kind of thing. I think that movie looks pretty cool. I just thought the trailer itself, as a piece of marketing, was not as good as the first one. And again, it's not about what you see in the trailer. It is how you see it. It is all about the presentation. Sorry, go ahead. It looked like you were going to say something.
There are a lot of trailers that obviously the action features very heavily in, and they're a key part of selling movies. A recent example is Jason Bourne. A lot of that featured a lot of the action scenes in the movie. With this, though, it felt to me a little bit like a sizzle reel of the cool bits rather than having action from the movie in it. Do you know what I mean? I know there's a very subtle difference, but it just felt a bit less like, here are some big set pieces, and kind of like, look, we've got the previous one was strong theme, and now we got lots of things going bang.
So honestly, here's what I thought. I thought the music wasn't good. I thought
it was not choice.
There was only one chunk of awesome music, and it's
Yeah.
when they shoot the the ATA? I don't know what the fuck it is.
Like the AT-AT thing, yeah.
Whatever the giant thing, and then you see the whatever the hell it is, go up there. There's music right there that I think is awesome. But the rest of it just doesn't have that soaring, this is going to be epic feel.
It didn't have that cohesion between all the elements.
Yeah,
I think.
And sorry for not knowing any vehicles and machines in the Star Wars universe or weaponry.
We're not dissing Star Wars. It's just there's a lot of them, and they keep adding them. But I mean, I'm still very interested in it as a film, and I'm still very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
But the trailer, it didn't give me a cinematic semi in the way that the Force Awakens trailer.
We don't need to think about your semi.
It's okay. Just putting it out there.
So honestly, I think that if this movie delivers, and I felt the same way about Star Wars last year, and I thought Star Wars was fine. It was good, okay to good. But on the whole, not a great movie. I think that this has the potential to be a great movie.
Yeah.
And given, not that it's a weak year for 2016, but I don't think that there's as many Oscar contenders as in past years.
Yep.
I think that this could be in contention for Best Picture if it delivers. It's all in the execution. So
in the chat, film nerd Jamie is saying that the Vader reveal was lame. Let's be frank.
It was just, and he was going to be catch him on a breath. He was like,
yeah.
like,
I would rather that not been in there. We know that Vader's going to be in there. We found that out a couple of months ago. That was confirmed. I'm like, okay, let's leave the physical reveal.
Maybe I would have opened with it. Like, I just thought the little tag at the end after the title was like a. And don't forget Darth Vader. It wasn't my favorite trailer.
No. There were much stronger trailers out this week for far less films.
What else hit?
I'll be honest with you, and I'll probably take some shit for this. I really liked the new Resident Evil trailer.
I actually missed that one. I consider myself the
it's a franchise that takes a lot of critical shit, and they're not great movies, but they're fun movies. I like them. I mean, I think some of.
I'm just teasing you. I don't even know if I've seen a Resident Evil movie.
I have favorites within the franchise. Some of them I'm really not a fan of, and I could very easily not watch again. But yeah, and I like the look of the way they've done this. They've kind of bring it lo-fi. It's very gritty. I got more excitement out of the Resident Evil trailer than I did out of the Rogue One.
Okay.
Just purely from ooh.
Did you catch the Allied trailer this morning?
I did, which has already been mentioned in the chat.
Oh, wow.
What did you think?
People are interested in Brad Pitt. Who would have thunk it?
I like him.
I thought it looked good. I wasn't actually expecting that much from this movie.
No.
But it looked like it had some pretty cool action, and they both, look at their movie star best.
They do. It certainly visually already, I'm like, I'm very much into that. There are a couple of movies coming up in the next few months, so I'm like, even if the film is not that great, I know I'm going to enjoy looking at it. And that was one of the things that I took away from Suicide Squad. I enjoyed looking at that. But I
like Zemeckis. I mean, I know he's caught some shit recently, but I really like The Walk.
I like The Walk.
And I liked Flight too.
Flight was a great movie.
Although, is Flight really like his third credit? Because that trailer, is like from the director Forrest Gump, Castaway, and Flight. Like, can't we get a better third credit there for Bob Zemeckis?
Well, I've seen obviously on some press notes recently for some really big actors, and it's really odd choices of films from their resume that you're seeing popped in there, and it's kind of like,
are they favoring the bigger titles?
I don't know, but it's just that sometimes the bigger titles, but also there's some odd choices. As in, like, why would you? That's all right. If you're trying to associate with a product, kind of films that they've done that you like of a similar type, you wouldn't go, if you're talking about, let's say, Veep, the TV show, you wouldn't say the guy that's now the showrunner of Veep, who's also done Curb Your Enthusiasm and wrote Eurotrip. You wouldn't put Eurotrip in there. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it's an odd. There are other projects that people would have worked.
Some
maybe
people would put Eurotrip
I've watched
in there.
that film too many times to be acceptable, but it's kind of it's just there are other things that I would have thought you'd want to put in there.
When we were talking about Matt Damon, you really took the opportunity to.
I love Matt Damon in that movie. Scotty doesn't know.
Let's talk about just a couple of director bits, because I want to talk about this week's new releases as well.
Yeah.
But these were two really intriguing choices. David Fincher.
Yeah.
Being courted for World War Z 2.
Yeah.
Justin Kroll at Variety broke this. It was a bit of a jaw dropper, because you wouldn't think that Fincher would take on a sequel. Of like a franchise sequel to the movie. I liked World War Z. I liked it better than I thought it was going to. But it just doesn't anyways, and he would do anything for Brad, mostly. I think that this one's going to come down to money.
Yep.
Fincher does not come cheap. I don't know how much he gets paid per film, but I would imagine he feels he's worth around $10 million on a big franchise movie like that.
Well, there are a lot of things that I like you. I enjoyed World War Z, and when I saw that, I got a lot of shit from people. That was the first time I was ever accused of being in the pocket of a studio when I said I liked a film, by people who hadn't actually seen the film, by the way. And I think that there's as visually great as World War Z was, and I think there was a lot of suspense and excitement in that. I think Fincher does tension and drama in a very different way, which I think would really elevate World War Z 2 to something that's more than just
That's right. It
zombie
could be.
movie.
It doesn't need to sort of follow this, have the same look or follow this.
Exactly.
It could be totally different. And so just imagine, take the title away from it.
Yeah.
David Fincher is making a zombie movie with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Potentially. I mean, I heard that he was 80%.
He brings
80%
out
in.
And he tends to bring out the best in every actor. Now, Jesse Eisenberg is an actor that I can kind of take or leave. Sometimes he's great, and sometimes I'm like, okay, you tick boxes.
Yeah.
But when he's worked together with Fincher, he's brought out some of the best performances that he's given in his career.
Fincher's amazing.
Yeah. So I think with that, if people, a lot of people criticize World War Z, and I think if they're trying to go past those criticisms, Fincher would be a very safe and reliable and interesting pair of hands.
I'm just like picturing him like directing these a huge $150 million tentpole, and anticipating clashes with that studio. But maybe that studio's just not in a position right now, especially in lieu of Star Trek Beyond, to flex its muscle. Like it should just let Fincher come in and make his movie and just trust the guy. Like whatever they're doing is not really working. Star Trek Beyond. Talk about losses. I'm sure this is going to pop up in a trade soon. I may write about it on Mashable, but the movie is dying. It's getting killed. People are focusing on Ghostbusters. There were stories about it losing $70 million.
Yeah.
The Hollywood Reporter said $70 million, and Variety said $50 million. I think the studio's saying like $25 million.
It's a lot of million. Whichever way
it's a lot of million, and it's going to be a loser. But that's getting all the press, and it's distracting from what is happening with Star Trek Beyond, which is just.
But it hasn't stopped them greenlighting a fourth movie or working on a fourth movie in the franchise.
They haven't greenlit a fourth movie. They announced a fourth, that they're developing a fourth movie. And let me tell you something right now, folks. You can cross that off your fucking calendars. There's no way that movie is happening with what is happening to Star Trek Beyond. The movie has grossed $198 million worldwide. It cost $185 million. Now, the theaters take in the actual $198 million.
Yes, they do.
So they only give them half the money. So they have $99 million, right? They spent $185 million on production, and let's just say $115 to sell it.
Yep.
Okay? Make it an even $300 million budget.
Yep.
That's a huge loss.
It is a huge loss. I mean, I'm quite surprised actually that it has done not well. That's not actually proper English, but because as a film, I actually enjoyed it, and it's one of the films I had the most fun with at the box office this summer.
Here's the thing: what studios don't seem to understand. Look at the NFL. The NFL is a juggernaut. It is the biggest sport in America, I think, by far. It doesn't travel. Nobody cares outside of America, and I'm not sure that Star Trek's international fan base is what Paramount thinks it is. It has not done that great overseas.
No.
There you go.
I think you're fair, but
I'm just saying it's a big hit, and if I was them,
it is a big hit.
I would definitely bring in a guy with Fincher's experience. And just have him make the best movie he can. Pay the guy whatever he wants.
I think that's fair.
Crosstown in Burbank.
Yes.
Universal's hiring Antoine Fuqua.
They are.
On Scarface.
Yeah.
That was a whoa. That took me aback.
Yeah.
Now, is he getting caught up in being like this sort of macho director? Well, Magnificent Seven. What was The Equalizer before that? Training Day. He definitely he's right for Scarface, but wouldn't you like to see him do something different?
I would like to see him do something different. I mean, for me, it was kind of this would be his third reboot adaptation, kind of a reworking, whichever word you want to slap on it, in a row, as you say.
Maybe it's that much harder to develop an original movie or get an original movie off the ground.
But also yes, absolutely. But also, if you look at their timeline that he's doing that over, that means that he will be 8 years, probably 6 to 8 years, if he is going ahead with this, where he won't have done an original piece of work.
Right.
And in Hollywood, that's quite a long time. So I would but he's...
As long as he's making money, I think that's all that they care about. And,
but then you become that guy. You become the remake guy. And I don't know if he wants to be that guy.
I don't know if this is the case of like lining up your next job before your movie comes out, you know, to like, oh, what if the movie doesn't do well? Oh, well, we have Scarface ready to go, rather than let's wait until after the movie and see what happens. And then if it doesn't do well, you're screwed. I don't know if it's that kind of thing or what. I was really looking forward to, I think it was Pablo Larraín who was directing Scarface, and having an outsider's take on that story.
Yeah.
But so it's like,
it's
you
not,
have to commend the hire, but
yeah, it's I was going to say it's not the worst. It's not the worst association. You know, I think he would do a great job with it. But I'm just wondering if he wants or needs to be that guy. He's got so much.
I think he's
so much shot in his cannon when it comes to creativity. It's kind of a waste.
I think he'll deliver like a safe movie. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, it was. Well, Equalizer was safe. I mean, I kind of enjoyed that, but I wanted more. I was a big fan of the. Yeah, I was a big fan of the TV show.
A little dangerous, a little like I don't know what to expect from this dude Pablo Larraín.
Yeah, but we'll see.
All right. Let's talk about Sausage Party.
Yeah,
I went to the carpet this week.
Are we going to do reviews now, or
do you want to wait until the end and just do the news? I mean, I was going to like mix it up.
Okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's talk about Sausage Party.
Yeah. Sausage Party, went to the carpet, talked to Seth Rogen, McBride, Michael Cera, and David Krumholtz. I had a good time there. The movie, I had a blast with it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
But I thought it was a lot of fun, and even more, it had my respect because I thought it was really well written, very smart, very clever. It's a good time at the movies. You?
Yeah. Like you, I really enjoyed it. It didn't blow me away. I've seen a lot of sort of, 5-star reviews. I mean, for me, it was a 4. And here's
you
the
your
issue.
5-star system. That's fucking crazy.
Okay, it's 10, so that makes it an 8.
All right.
You numbers. So there were parts in it that were. It comes out of the gate hard and fast. Mm-hmm. So
you know what you're getting right away.
Yeah. So if you buy a ticket thinking it won't be hardcore, you know in the first couple of minutes that you're probably going to have to go back to the box office and change it for Pete's Dragon. Yeah, because this is probably not going to be your bag.
Oh man, I'm just anticipating. I am anticipating parents making that mistake. Well, look at this cute movie about the hot dog.
I went to a press screening with one that some of the public were allowed into. It was like a GoFobo type thing as well.
There were kids?
Well, no, not kids, but certainly young people. And I was sat between a guy who's probably a couple of years older than me and 2 women who were probably about 10 years younger than me. And they all absolutely loved it, even the really vile bits. Now, the problem with the movie for me is the fact that when it's great, it's great. It goes hard, and it does not mess around. And when it does that, it's fantastic. And when it's really funny, it's really funny. The problem there is when the bits in the middle between those parts, which are funny, they kind of make you notice the difference quite a lot between going hard and then pulling back. And it at times felt... pardon the expression, matron.
Like in this movie, I'm just
it's totally inappropriate.
Everything's an innuendo.
But then and then it felt slightly. It didn't feel level enough for me. It kind of the really good bits are really good, and then the other bits were.
And they gave a lot away in the trailer.
Totally acceptable in a regular movie. So that would have been fine as that level, but when that's your set level,
when that's your baseline,
and then you're kind of like, holy fuck, we're up here,
right?
It's like you just noticed that then you're suddenly down here again.
But it does end on a high note.
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit. It ends on a high note and then it leaves you coming at, like, you leave the theater talking like, what the fuck did I just see?
You know that I'm a very broad-minded, open-minded,
the most.
Not
the
easy
broadest
to offend.
And the most open.
Even I was like, what the fuck have I just seen?
It was wild.
I literally came out and I had to have a little sit down. I was like,
I've been to some dark corners of the internet, folks. I haven't seen the things I saw in Sausage Party.
There is only one film this year where you will see a bagel giving a rim job. And it's not Pete's Dragon.
By the way, he was great.
Yeah.
Ed Norton, Sammy Bagel Jr.
Everybody.
My favorite character, maybe just because he was Jewish. You know who I loved, actually, was Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
As the bun. my favorite Kristen Wiig performance in some time. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
She was sexy. She was a sexy hot dog bun.
Yeah.
In a way that maybe I wouldn't necessarily buy in live action.
Yeah.
But the voice, it was a very good voice performance from her.
I thought it was just an exemplary voice pick. And there's another movie which is an R-rated animated movie which is coming up from the guys at Titmouse Animation, which is Titmouse. They're involved in Son of Zorn, and they've done a lot of other projects. They're really, really hot animation studio.
What's it called?
The film is called Nerdland.
Oh, yeah.
And it did the festival circuit early this year. It's Paul Rudd's attached, Patton Oswalt's attached. Well, they've all voiced it, in fact. The film's finished. And it's coming out later this year. And again, that's another cast, which is people that perhaps you wouldn't associate with this kind of thing, or just great comedy talent coming together and really letting rip and really having good. And they do that with this movie. Everybody, you can tell in their voice, they're having a great time. I mean, the chewing gum was genius.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, there are so many things in this that I was just like, seriously, guys, you absolutely nailed that. That is, and I'm a big fan of creative
animated bath salts. Like, now you know what animated bath salts look like.
It was just a shot in the arm.
Yeah.
And previews last night, it did 3.25. It's expected to do about 20, maybe 25 this weekend. And obviously, it's very highly likely that Suicide Squad's going to be the #1 movie, and that's going to pull in about...
It's going to be a word-of-mouth hit, though.
51, 54.
By the way, I think Sausage Party is going to overperform. I think this is actually going to be the kind of movie that people tell their friends, like, you have to see this film.
I would love to agree with you on that. I think, but I've already had discussions with here this morning before we did the show.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I'm interested in the movie, but I might wait to catch it on DVD. And I think that it's a shame, because you really should see this with an audience.
Exactly.
And see everybody reacting.
The truest thing we'll say all day.
It'll be funny on your own.
Comedies play better in a theater.
Yeah, if you're going to spend $15 or whatever this weekend in a theater, it's like a comedy show. Everybody's having a ride with it. People laugh at different things because of culturality of that's not a word, but of characters and stuff like that. Everybody will see something different and laugh at it. And it's just brilliant. It's a great time.
Yeah, I greatly enjoyed it. I do prefer Seth and Evan's live action stuff more, but this was a blast.
Yeah.
What did you think of the douche, though? It's a little.
You see, I
annoying.
didn't like the douche.
Yeah, it was a little annoying.
Yeah, I was kind of like, someone said to me earlier, it's like, I'm really looking forward to the character, the douche, and I'm like, actually, the douche is probably the weakest character.
Yeah.
I wanted less.
It's just a little. I
wanted
grating.
less
it's
douche.
a little grating.
And a little more sausage.
So you said if you have $15 to spend, that's what you should see this weekend. So, but you've seen Pete's Dragon.
I have.
So what did you think? I haven't seen it.
I love Pete's Dragon. I'll be honest with you.
So that's not the movie to spend the $15 on?
No. Well, here's why. Because I love Pete's Dragon. I really enjoyed Pete's Dragon. But I had more fun with Sausage Party.
That's fair.
I saw Pete's Dragon. I went to see it at the El Capitan this week. I watched it with, it was a press screening, but it was adults and kids, so it was a very mixed audience.
I couldn't make
and it was a great environment to go to. And it's a great movie. I cried, so do take tissues. Take tissues to Sausage Party for a different reason. But Pete's Dragon...
That was good.
Thank you. It's really nicely done. Robert Redford's brilliant. Well, everybody in it is great. It's very different to the original Pete's Dragon. I had a lot of people asking me online this week, is it like basically a remake of the original film? No, it's not. It takes it in a very different direction. Obviously, you still got the friendship with the boy and the dragon between Pete and Elliot. And I wasn't convinced by Elliot the dragon when I saw the original sort of trailer and stuff like that, but he really does grow on you in this movie. It really touched me. It excited me. I cried. It's done really, really nicely. And again, like with Jungle Book this year, Disney have made a film here which is great for kids. Don't take really young kids, because there's a lot of quite dark subject matters here about loss and that kind of thing. So, don't take super young kids.
Okay.
But it's enough there for kids and adults. And I felt feeling uplifted, and it was a really well-made movie.
I'm going to check it out this weekend. I don't know if Hell or High Water opens this weekend or if it's next weekend.
I think it's this weekend,
I did see it. And I liked it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
It may have been my boss is, Josh Dickey. It may have been Josh's favorite movie of the year. It has a 100% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't know if that's still the case or if that was just like yesterday. I liked it.
Yeah.
But it was certainly gritty. It was
Yeah.
pretty badass. And it's shot really well. David Mackenzie, I do think he's a really talented director. He
Really
did
talented.
Start Up.
Yeah. But he's done like Hallam Foe or Mr. Foe as it was called in the US as well. He's done a lot of. He's not afraid to shy
He
away.
did Spread too, right? The Ashton Kutcher Gigolo movie.
Might have done.
I think he did.
But yeah, no, he's not afraid to shy away from gritty visuals or anything like that. But he's I'm looking forward to seeing
I'll
it.
tell you, it is
Yeah.
a good Chris Pine performance. I have not been the biggest Chris Pine fan.
No.
I don't love a lot of his big screen work, and
No,
yet I know
fair.
he's a brilliant actor because I
Yeah.
saw him
And a nice guy.
live in like doing theater in
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Farragut North, I think it was, the Ides of March play.
He's a great actor, which is why I wonder why he
this
does shit
is-
films sometimes.
Yeah, this is definitely one of his better performances. He's with Ben Foster again, who he just did Finest Hours with. Ben Foster's playing Hothead again. Jeff Bridges is playing Rooster Cogburn again. But it's honestly the people around them. And Josh was right, and I've seen other critics make this comparison, is too. It's like the early Coens a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So check that out if you have a chance. If you're looking for, if you don't want animated orgies and flying dragons from Disney again.
And there's robbery.
Yeah.
A couple of people in the chat are talking. They're talking about Tron. The possibility
The what?
of
Tron?
possibility of a third Tron movie.
Get the fuck
Now,
out of
see,
here.
I would say I'm okay with that because I didn't like the first Tron movie, but I actually quite enjoyed Tron Legacy.
They like it. They like the like the music. They can sell soundtracks. They can sell
That
like,
soundtrack's
light up,
one of my favorites.
light up shit and clothes. And I don't know. It's a sort of movie I think that you could potentially merchandise well. I don't know how well the last one did, but you could probably do better. It's just no. The last Tron movie was bad. I am not
agree to disagree on that one.
Are you really?
No, I actually
You're
enjoyed it.
defending the last Tron movie with Garrett Hedlund.
I'm not saying it's great. I enjoyed it.
Holy shit!
Hey, but
Simon.
talking of threes, Jonah Hill this week was talking about MIB 3, this thing that's been rattling around for a while, and then obviously it turned out this year that James Bobbin is attached to it to direct and was trying to ratify it. Jonah Hill's now this week doing the press for War Dogs. Has said that basically
Have you seen that?
I haven't. I'm going to see it next week.
Sorry,
it's kind of impossible that it's going to happen because obviously they're going to have to kind of become the film that they're effectively lampooning.
But that was the whole point.
Yeah. And they're like,
I had this
"Yeah."
movie really laid out for me in detail, and it sounded brilliant.
Yeah.
It sounded like a really smart idea and a good like riff on universes and the
Yeah.
way studios are just smushing properties together, and it would lampoon that. So I don't know what they're scared of.
But here's my thought: if it doesn't happen, and they think that they can't do that, and again, this will probably put cat amongst pigeons. But there is a franchise at Sony that they could do with if they do want to continue to invest in it in the way that they have invested previously.
We're talking about Men in Black, or
Men in
Jumpsuit?
Black, but also teaming that up with Ghostbusters
Men in Black meets Ghostbusters.
because
You're
they
right.
both operate in
I'm with
similar.
you.
I
I'm
think
with
that
you. If that's the way to save Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
and you take the women.
you take the women and you take
give
the
them
guys
two
from
Men
Men in Black.
and you have like a six-person team, like the Avengers.
Because if you've got aliens and
of
ghosts and
Ghost.
shit, that's
Simon, you just sold a pitch to Sony.
that's
You're a
seriously,
millionaire.
that's a fucking. I lit in the drive over here. I was like, why if they don't do Men in
Right. It's a
MIB
natural,
3?
it's a natural match.
Yeah, just fucking put Ghostbusters.
We should
with
be a
it.
writing team if you get that job. You know.
Yeah, okay.
Say you
well,
have, say you have a
I'll get
partner.
on the phone to Sony because they love me right now. No, they don't. Nobody loves me. But it just occurred to me that to me seems like a natural fit.
You're right. And so there was talk. Let's go back to that
Yeah.
that story about the Ghostbusters losing tens of millions of dollars either way you slice it. There was talk that the movie won't be getting a sequel.
Yes.
A sequel is very unlikely.
Because as you said earlier, we're
Now,
talking
while
about.
I buy that,
Yeah.
I don't know that you hire these four women, particularly Melissa McCarthy, who's a movie star. If you have her on sequel options, which I'm
Yeah.
assuming that they do,
Would have assumed.
you kind of have to use them. You just have to do better than the last time. So I think with all that controversy will be gone because
Yep.
it's already happened. you know, it's there's you can't just give up on Melissa McCarthy as a Ghostbuster. Is what I'm saying. You have to find a way to use her, whether that's combining them with a male Ghostbuster team or, like you said, bringing the Men in Black franchise.
Yeah.
But there's more to squeeze there.
And I just felt watching Ghostbusters and I think you felt the same way with many characters. Just kind of like there are certain things I would love to see picked up on the second movie. You've done the groundwork. You've laid that out. If Paul Feig doesn't want to do another one, which I think would be a shame, then give it to another director. But I think you're right. You don't want to waste that ensemble. I think Sony got a great thing. They've obviously looked at animated movie and they've looked at TV series as well. The fact they set up Ghost Corp, you know, means that they were looking, so I don't know whether they are now, but they're certainly looking to do something more long range with that. But yeah, I think now the fact that if they did do a sequel, they wouldn't have the what the fuck, it's women,
right?
Because we already know they're women, so that's done. So that argument is not even worth barking again. But it's really interesting. Something I had a troll this week on the internet come to me over saying that it was actually to do with this show.
Troll on the internet, you say?
I know. What next? Someone who said that they thought critics were unfair with Suicide Squad because some critics were saying I can't recommend that you go and see this film, and they thought that was unfair. And I was kind of like, well, that's exactly what people did with Ghostbusters before they'd seen the movie. Right. Don't go. And I'm like, that works both ways. But I think now all that will be out of the way. That I think they've cleared that. Paul has taken a lot of the shit, but I think for the studio, that way is clear.
I think what you're talking about is almost like, what is the role of the critic these days?
Yeah.
Because like I walked down to Swiss Army Man. I regret that at Sundance, and I especially regret tweeting about it.
Okay.
And I said, don't go see this movie.
Yeah.
I tweeted, and that's because at a film festival, time is precious.
It is.
So I felt like, don't waste your time with this. Go spend your time on something else. Is that the job of the critic to say, do see this, don't see this? Or are you saying, like, hey, go see everything and make up your own mind. Here's my opinion, and let it help guide you.
That's what critics are. It's just an opinion. As I put in my thing about Suicide Squad with Forbes, it's like pineapple on a pizza. Some people think you're crazy to have pineapple on a pizza. Some people think it's the best fucking thing since sliced bread. So it's a critical review, unless you're going in there with a pre-bias, like some people don't like horror movies, they're just going to say that it's shit. Your opinion, your job is to go in and give your opinion
right.
on what you think about this film, because people want to know your opinion. Now, they might not agree or like your opinion, but it's your opinion. Now, if you're a critic that goes in there pre-prejudiced and says you're not going to like it because it's X genre or X actor or whatever, then you're not doing your job properly. If you're a fan that comes to a film that automatically defends it, even when this particular person as well was saying that it was flawed, and yet you're still defending it and saying that it's just an opinion, whether you like or dislike something. There is no right or wrong in film criticism unless you're going in there with the preset idea that you're not going to like it. And I've occasionally gone into a movie not expecting to like something, and then come out of it going, that was brilliant.
Although I don't see a lot of movies that I don't expect to like. You know, like Josh and I got into a discussion yesterday. You know, I don't know if I'm even saying this or not, but it was like we were talking about the Bridget Jones movie and like which one of us is going to review it, and we're like, it doesn't make sense for either of us to review it.
I'll quite happily do it.
We're gonna have a female critic do it,
but again, that's an interesting point, because recently, because obviously I write for IGN as well. There was a guy who wrote a review for Bad Moms, and one of the feedback on that on one of the comments was you should get a parent. You shouldn't get single men to do it. I don't even know if this guy who wrote it was single, and I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with it? But that's like saying if you're not a spaceman, you can't review The Martian.
You watch the movie through different eyes, yeah.
But it's an opinion on a thing. There are lots of men that went to see Bad Moms. There will be lots of. I love the Bridget Jones movies. I enjoy them. You know, I'm not the target market, but I still enjoy it. That's okay.
Sounds good. We have lots more to discuss.
We do.
So let's do it. Let's talk about how this week was awesome for me.
Yeah.
Because I dropped my dream scoop. Mm-hmm. Dream scoop, people.
Dream scoop.
Ready to retire.
Yeah.
Okay?
You did. It was a doozy.
All I've wanted for years, almost on every phone call and conversation I've had for years.
Yep.
You hear who's going to play The Crow? You heard anything on The Crow? The Crow? The Crow? The Crow? Mm-hmm. And this week, the answer was right under our noses.
Was it?
Jason Momoa posts this photo to Instagram, which I was tipped off to. And he's shaking hands with the Crow director. That's all Corin Hardy is attached to direct. it's like just put two and two together. I made a few calls, and Jason Momoa in talks to be the Crow. What do you think? I like it.
I like it.
I don't think that there's any replacing Brandon Lee.
No.
The Crow is one of my favorite movies. It is a cult classic, and what happened to Brandon Lee, absolutely tragic. The sequels have been terrible.
Yep.
This movie has been up and down. It was going to be Bradley Cooper. I reported Tom Hiddleston at one point.
Luke Evans.
The
other guy.
I think Jeremy Renner was circling it at one point. And most recently, Jack Houston.
Some of those could have been good.
Oh, absolutely. But, the movie got closest, I think, with Jack Houston.
Yeah.
Before, Relativity's bankruptcy stuff. And thank God we got Jason Momoa instead of Jack Houston.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a different, it's a different kind of spin on the character. The Crow is not traditionally this hulking dude.
No.
But I can totally see him as like a badass rock star. I think he'll look great in the face paint. I'm kind of excited. You?
I am. I mean, I like you, I was a big fan. I remember going to see, The Crow in theaters when it first came out. And it's a film that, like you, I think the sequels never did it justice. It's a great character. You can't replace.
It's not about saving the world. That's what I like about it. It is about avenging your love and how you would do anything for the girl of your dreams.
Yeah, and it's not replacing. It's reinventing. It's reimagining. And it's he's a fantastic character, and I think Jason is not someone I would have linked to the role.
No,
if you'd have asked me to draw up 10 names on a list, but when they said that and when you put this out this week, I was like, I can totally see that.
Now,
how was that? Not
I was
obvious?
a little surprised because he's already Aquaman in the DC universe. I'm like, he's going to play another superhero. I guess there's a ton of time before Aquaman is shooting. You know. There's nothing. I don't think that there's anything in his Aquaman contract, that precludes him from playing another superhero. Maybe from joining the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
but they're in.
This is very
lies the
different.
loophole.
Yeah.
And the Crow is such a different character. It's such a different tone than I think what is happening in the DC universe. I want this to be dark and gritty and fucked up. And I don't know how much they're going to make this movie for. I don't think you need to make it for more than $60 million.
No. I think you could even possibly,
side.
with the right studio and with the right team, you could possibly do it for less than that. I would say 30 to 40.
But Corin Hardy, I did not love his directorial debut, The Hallow. I have seen his reel though, and he's a master of these really dark, fucked up visuals.
Yeah.
That should fit the Crow nicely. I hope all this stuff comes together with Relativity. This is an important film for them as they emerge from bankruptcy, and I just, I hope in this incarnation it actually happens.
Yeah.
But it was a huge thrill for me as someone who grew up with Crow posters surrounding their bed. My first kiss, my face was all done up like the Crow, so it meant a lot to me. And then I got a meh pass from a friend of Meet the Movie Press, Humberto Gonzalez, El Mayimbe, which was a bummer. But let's talk about him now and dropping some scoops. So he did 2 character scoops. There were actually a few things. 2 character scoops this week. One, I think, kind of elicited eye rolls. The other one I thought was pretty good. Black Manta.
Yep.
And by the way, it goes, it's an interesting discussion of what is news these days. And like, what is a factoid? What deserves a sentence? I'm holding a pretty interesting story myself that my editor, Josh, wants to blow out into a big headline and get people to click on it. But that's not why I was told the information. I was told the information to help as part of a larger story, and I want to honor that. And it's just going to be a sentence in this larger story whenever I write that.
Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't come out until then.
Is this the Police Academy 8 story?
Exactly.
Yeah,
so it's a difference between, what is a fact and what is a factoid. Anyways, this week, El Mayimbe dropped a couple of cool scoops. Black Manta is going to be the villain in Aquaman.
Yep.
And apparently Michael K. Williams has already come out and said he wants to do it.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know necessarily who was for sure going to be the villain in Aquaman. Not that I have any fucking idea who Black Manta is.
No.
I remember being a young reporter.
He's kind of like a treasure hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. I could see he'd be a good villain with Aquaman. Obviously, he's I'm after the gold.
I like the idea of a black villain.
Yeah.
And I really like the idea of Michael K. Williams.
He's great.
Doing something outside of HBO, too. Like, he was wasted in Ghostbusters.
Totally wasted.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, Black Manta, Aquaman, that counts.
Yeah.
You know, I broke the villain in Spider-Man 3. I don't know if it was Sandman. I think it was maybe Rhino. That was going to be Paul Giamatti, and I was pumped. And that was one of my like earlier scoops at a trade, and you know, Umberto's just starting out at a trade, and I think that is totally legit. Black Manta. The Lando one. While that's interesting, I think that's a line in a story. I think that you have to get the names who are up for Lando before you can drop that. Everyone kind of knew that Lando was going to be in the movie. That's why I kind of shrugged.
It's
and
kind
others
of
I rolled.
A lot of people, I think, it's kind of a given.
Yeah. So to like see a big exclusive about it, I was just like, you know, it prompted Josh and I to make a few jokes just about like the leather, you know, Lord Miller testing leather vests, all that kind of stuff. I was just teasing Umberto, and we'll smoke the peace pipe soon, and he's always going to be one of my good dear friends.
But yeah, I mean, there's the young Lando thing this week. Obviously, Donald Glover is
yeah, right. So then,
so
on the heels of that, that was interesting because if anything else. And you have to do this as a reporter, especially as a trade reporter. And so props to MIB for this much. He shook the tree. He shook the tree in Hollywood, and something came out, and that was Devin's scoop at Birth Movie's Death about, as you said, Donald Glover, my old NYU chum. So that I think would be awesome. I think him and Alden Ehrenreich
would be a really good. You can see them together on screen.
You really can. Yeah. They're like the right size, oddly enough.
Yeah, there's everything
together,
about that
like,
fits.
Because Donald's a little dude. From what I remember, like I don't see him as an action star. I don't know if he'll have to be an action star. I'm playing with this fucking thing.
That's fine.
But he's really funny. Obviously, you guys know that. And I think him and Alden could have really interesting chemistry if, in fact, he gets the job. We don't know if he even wants to do that because Donald is not. I think, you know, he has other interests.
Yeah.
You know, he's a rapper. He's Childish Gambino. He has a TV series that's starting on FX soon. FX called Atlanta, which I've seen. I saw the pilot. It was actually really good. You know, we'll see if that works out.
But also with the Han Solo movie, it's came out today, or certainly overnight. They're also looking for a non-white female lead.
Right. I mentioned that on the heels of the Han Solo report. We'll circle back to that in a second.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm trying to think of how I want to present this.
Okay. Well, let's move on to a couple of other things. Then we can come back to that.
Okay.
Talking of additional film stories that came out this week, Bad Boys 3.
Bad Boys for Life.
Yes, is the official title. And people are looking at it for 2017, but obviously they haven't even started work on it, so that's a little bit tight. So they're now looking at January 2018.
They pushed it 7 months or whatever.
Yeah, which I think is the right thing to do, and I think January is actually a good time because they're gonna you know.
I'm all for Bad Boys coming back.
Yeah, I enjoy the Bad Boys movies.
Me too.
They're not high art.
I think the first film is a legitimately great movie. I've seen it a lot. Like dozens of times. The second one, which I think most people enjoy more, they're just like, oh, this is Michael Bay's masterpiece, and he's just like throwing everything.
Yeah.
I didn't care for it as much.
No.
I think it's because there was more of an emphasis on action. I will always take character over big action stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meanwhile, Joe Carnahan is directing. I kind of love that choice.
Yep.
He's a fucking man's man. He's a gritty dude. I think he's going to put a cool twist on this.
His action seems authentic, if that makes any sense.
Good call.
Rather than just throwing shitloads of Hollywood money at it.
I wanted to see
like,
his Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see him do Mission Impossible 3.
No, I'm a big fan of his work. He did The Grey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So, you know, that
and I want to
be...
see him kind of make up for the A-Team, which wasn't his fault.
Right.
That was not his fault. It wasn't a great film, but he's better than that.
Bad Boys for Life, and it really feels like life because 95 to 2018, that's a 23-year franchise.
Yeah, I had
Who
hair.
fucking thought
I had
that?
hair when Bad Boys 2 came out. That's how long it's been, my friend.
My best friend had that poster on his bedroom wall. I was the Crow, he was Bad Boys. Anyways,
also another Bad Boy segment.
Okay.
Yeah. James Bond.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going with this.
Just a quick note on this. This week, obviously, you know that Daniel Craig has signed up for Purity, which is a Showtime movie, Showtime
series.
TV show series, and so people are going like, oh well, no, he can't be Bond. Then he's definitely out of Bond. Apparently, they came out this week and said actually, if he did return as Bond, then this wouldn't interfere with that. So I can only assume from that
Great.
that I know. I'm like, oh, really? It's a shame.
It's time for a new fucking Bond.
Yeah, it is time for a new Bond, but I'm just
boring.
thinking that it's like that would have been possibly something there would have been a pre-discussion on. So maybe we could see Daniel Craig come back, but I'm over Craig as Bond. I want to see a new Bond. So
Okay.
Tick. Covered that
I thought you were
story.
going to say, speaking of bad boys, Michael Chernus cast as the Tinkerer in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
yeah, which I was curious about because I've seen like the first 2 series of Orange is the New Black, but the Tinkerer is not a villain that I'm aware of, and I'm actually quite looking forward to see.
Is he on Orange is the New Black?
I think he's in Orange is the New Black, isn't he?
I have no idea.
I think he's in Orange is the New Black.
I don't watch the show.
Yeah, so the Tinkerer is not a villain that I'm at all familiar with.
Doesn't sound very scary. The Tinkerer. He'll tinker with you.
Yeah, but he can like mess about with gadgets and stuff like that. And if you're setting it with kids in high school and stuff like that, with social
Right.
media,
He's hacking into your profiles.
into your phones, beep beep boop boop. My Pokemon Go. He's taking.
You're
my
right.
Pokemon
I have
Go.
no idea what the script looks
So-
like, and that could be a really interesting idea. Michael Chernus not necessarily known to that many people, but I like that they're not just throwing fucking movie stars at this film.
Yeah.
He's a character actor. I think he marks an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing what he does.
And
with
I
it.
just, certainly for the Spider-Man franchise, I'm kind of like, obviously if the Vulture's going to be in there as well, that's great. But it's kind of like, I would like to see some villains. They've kind of dropped the ball on quite a few really good Spider-Man villains in a few of the movies. For me, my favorite will always be Doc Ock. I love Doc Ock in
Doc Ock
Spider-Man
was
2.
great.
It's just amazing. And all the others, I'm kind of like, not quite so good. But yeah, I think the Tinkerer, it could be fun.
Going back to MIB,
Sure.
he dropped a story about Man of Steel 2.
He did,
Moving
yeah.
from development to active development.
Yeah.
What do we think about that?
I mean,
Didn't we kind of know that this was coming as well?
I thought we did. I certainly remember it.
I thought
It's
Kevin
been
had
discussed
mentioned,
in
we're making, another Batman movie. We're making
Yeah.
another Superman movie.
Yeah. I did kind
I
of think
just-
that was.
Development's development.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that goes to development and then doesn't get made. But I mean, again,
But this is going to get made. I mean, they're not going to recast Superman again.
no.
They just did.
Yeah.
So I was always kind of confident that there was going to be another Superman movie.
But also, is it a Superman movie? Whereas, obviously, we don't know. So it's a rhetorical question. Is it a Man of Steel movie where it's like Man of Steel, or is it a Man of Steel movie where we're looking at effectively the Captain America Civil War that we saw, which is kind of more of a
like an Avengers movie.
like an
No,
Avengers movie, and a
I-
bit more like a Batman versus Superman with Wonder Woman kind
Could
of
Batman
thing.
appear in Man of Steel? Maybe.
But doesn't
I
that
have no clue.
Doesn't
but
that really become more of a sequel to Batman versus Superman than
no,
a
no, no,
Man
no,
of
no,
Steel?
No. If you make a Man of Steel 2 and it's a movie about Superman and Batman shows up for a scene at the end to help him out with something, that's still a Man of Steel 2 movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If we're doing Man of Steel 2, can Steele Johnson, the American swimmer, please be in it? Because Steele Johnson sounds like a futuristic sex robot. And I just love his name.
Okay. There's a few more things to discuss this week.
Yeah.
Ocean's 8
Yes.
filling out the cast, and it's not done yet,
No.
folks.
Some interesting names, actually. Rihanna, okay.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway, okay.
All right.
And Awkwafina.
Super-
Who?
yeah.
She was fine in Neighbours 2, Sorority Rising, but also Mindy Kaling,
Yeah,
who
Could
I
be
think is good. But
here's the thing. I was more interested in Anne Hathaway.
yeah,
Anne Hathaway, man, that's a good get. I think that she could be really good with Kate Blanchett.
I think the key to this movie really resonating, and it's not because it's women, but I think it's going to be the characters that they have and how well written it is.
how well they're drawn, yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's going to be key here, because there's a lot of really, obviously Helena Bonham Carter's in there as well. You've got Kate Blanchett, you've got Sandra Bullock. The cast, handled correctly with the right script, could be absolutely killer and big money. But
I think it's smart to bring this title back. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the franchise.
No.
Although I don't know if it'll have any association with Clooney. I'd read that he was going to produce originally, and now he's not.
Yeah.
So it stands to reason that he might not cameo in it, but you never know if they're throwing millions at him.
And you don't know how big all these roles are going to be.
Otherwise, why? I guess, would it be his sister? I guess we wouldn't necessarily need to see Danny Ocean if He had a sister.
Could be a rival.
Anyway, it'll be. I just can't wait to see who the villain is, because I think it should be a woman as well. I don't think that they should go up against a guy.
I know the name Elizabeth Banks has been mentioned, and that's kind of dropped off the radar. And I know she's going to be playing the villain in the Power Rangers movie, but I would crawl over broken glass naked for Elizabeth Banks.
Someone mentioned Anna Kendrick too. I think she would be cool. Interesting.
There are a lot of really good, strong women out there right now who I think who don't do villain stuff, who I think could do villain really, really well.
And it'll be interesting to see who fills out that 8th slot.
Yeah.
I may know a few things. I may not.
Oh.
That won't be the tease that I was teasing on Twitter.
Is it
what we're going to end the show with?
Steve Guttenberg and drag.
Yes. It's
Boom.
Steve Guttenberg is,
okay, cool. That's
number
out there.
Ocho.
Yeah.
A few other things. Narnia.
Cool. Yep.
Narnia coming back. The Silver Chair. I didn't read that one. Do you care about the Narnia franchise at this point?
I don't.
No, me
I'll be
neither.
honest with you. I'm just kind of I mean, the first film I liked. The second film I wasn't a big fan of. The third one I don't think I even saw.
Yeah, it's like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, it was a poor man's Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah,
and I'm just and those are not great movies.
It's going to need a heavy rejiggering.
Yeah, right now, and that's at Sony now. So.
Yeah. Friday the 13th got a director in the form of Breck Eisner.
Yep.
Who I didn't realize was Michael Eisner's son, I guess.
Yeah.
I like The Crazies.
Love The Crazies.
It's not a terrible choice. I don't think of him as like a, A-list horror director.
No.
I probably would have preferred someone with a little less experience.
Yep.
And someone a little bit edgier, the way that Lionsgate handed Adam Wingard Blair Witch.
Yep.
David Bruckner, I thought, was an interesting choice. But
I think
I'm fine with Breck Eisner. It could have been a lot worse, but yeah.
I mean, I thought the visuals in the film that he did with Vin Diesel, the Last Witchfinder, visually was fine, but I didn't like the movie. But going back to The Crazies, I mean, he nailed that. I mean, he didn't.
It was good.
I really like that.
I don't think it's like a great movie.
I really enjoyed that. I like his work. So, yeah, but I'm with you on the
Brian
the thing.
Bertino would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Whatever. Could have been worse. I have one big tease. Is there anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Briefly
before
touch
we
on
get to it?
Wolverine. Apparently Patrick Stewart in that is the last time that we'll see him as Xavier.
Yeah, apparently.
Wait, I mean,
I fucking break, dude. How do you believe this stuff?
I don't entirely believe that. But if it is, I think it'll be a shame because I love him, and I don't want it to be in a substandard Wolverine movie, which a lot of the Wolverine movies have been below par. It would be a shame to send him off in a subpar movie. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's
my standpoint
fair.
on that. But what's your tease?
All right, so we're gonna end the show with this.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm gonna do. I'm trying to think. Should I do one name, both names? Fuck it. Fuck it. All right.
Double gun it.
So, we mentioned people were talking about Cable from Deadpool 2. Mm-hmm. There's been a name who's been floating around for Cable for months.
Yep.
Hasn't changed. Don't know if it's changed. Didn't make any calls about this. This was just the name that's been out there for months. So take this with a gigantic grain of salt, the biggest grain of salt that your tiny little brain can imagine. The name that is floating around for Cable right now is Kyle Chandler.
Interesting.
Yep. Never played a superhero before or anything like that. Never done a comic book movie, I don't think. He's worked with Affleck on Argo. He's got Bloodline, Friday Night Lights. A lot of goodwill for Kyle Chandler.
Big enough? Physically big enough? Because Cable's a
I agree.
big-ass guy.
I agree. Could he bulk up, though? Because I could kind of see him bulking up.
Yeah.
Just getting, shredded. I don't know if he's interested in that kind of thing. I'm just saying that's the name that's been out there.
Okay.
The name for Domino, who's said to be the scene stealer of the movie, is Mackenzie Davis.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd heard her name tied to what was it? for Han Solo, I think. But then I started, that was like early in the process, and now they're leaning towards someone who is not white. I know that a lot of studios are really interested in her. She's sort of proving herself as she has a supporting role in Blade Runner 2, and studios are starting to feel like she could make that leap to a leading lady, or at least someone like edgy, like something like Deadpool 2 would necessitate. So
yeah.
I think it's part of the pixie haircut that she has on Halt or Catch Fire on AMC that helps people maybe picture her as Domino.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's nearly as not firm or anything, but as like real a rumor as Kyle Chandler as Cable. But those are just some of the names that are being kicked around for Deadpool 2, which I do think will add a star or two.
Yeah.
Because the first film there really wasn't much star power outside of Ryan.
No. Which was quite surprising, actually. I mean, everybody else was really not a name.
I think that there's a thought, at Fox that this could be $1 billion sequel.
Yeah.
Because the first one was so well received for the most part.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I spoke to. I mean, another name. Someone I spoke to about this a couple of months ago. I had a conversation with Henry Rollins, and he might be too old for the role, but he was very interested. Very interested in it. I think he'd be.
Oh, was he?
Physically,
yeah.
I think he would fit it.
You're right.
And he has had conversations with various studios about doing, superhero bad guys.
Really?
He has had Yeah, he has.
Simon.
But come on, Henry Rollins.
Henry Rollins.
Did you see him in Sons of Anarchy? He does a lot of straight-to-home entertainment stuff, but seriously, I think he would.
And Dolph.
He was almost Negan in The Walking Dead.
And Captain Marvel will fight Dolph Lundgren.
I'd watch that. Yeah, seriously.
All right.
I'm in.
On that note, let's wrap this show up. We're getting silly now, folks.
The Rock, directed by Jodie Foster.
Wait, shit. We had to mention The Rock contractually in every show. So The Rock. By the way, before we close.
Yes, we talk about that.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah.
The Rock coming out firing this week on Instagram about candy asses.
And everybody was like,
everyone's who is the candy? It's like the biggest mystery in America.
Eastwood. Yeah.
Right, Scott Eastwood got dragged into this.
I was like, hasn't he had a bad enough
guy.
week?
He is no candy ass.
No, he's not. He's a lovely
he's
man.
Clint Eastwood's son. He's no candy ass.
No, he's a great guy.
It was Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
It was Vin Diesel all along. With the lead pipe in the kitchen.
Yeah, that was... The Rock doesn't...
I don't think this was a PR stunt, though.
I've worked with both of them many, many times, and to get them to publicly lose their shit, you've got to push them hard. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is one of the... Certainly when you're talking to him as a member of the press, he's up there with people like Will Smith and Tom Cruise. Affable, friendly. Whatever you need him to do, he'll be more than happy to do it. He's fun. He brings his A game when he's public-facing. Vin Diesel does the same in a very different way. To get Dwayne Johnson pissed off, something happened. He does not lose.
What could have happened?
I don't know, but he doesn't... He
stole his Danish.
He doesn't generally lose his shit, and he certainly doesn't lose his shit in public.
He's a very calculated man, Dwayne Johnson.
Whatever The Rock is cooking...
So it was out of character.
That's a big-ass meal.
Ooh.
So
it was out of character for him. It was a bit of a surprise. A lot of people thought it was just like a PR stunt. I don't think it was.
I don't think it was.
But you know what? It's about family, and sometimes the families they fight.
Sometimes
I don't know what that was, but
yeah,
we have got to get out of here before I do more bad accents.
Yeah.
Simon, who are you? Where can the good people find you?
You can find me on Twitter @ShowbizSimon, Instagram @ShowbizSimon, or on Facebook /This is Simon Thompson.
You can find me at Mashable.com/entertainment and on Twitter at @TheInSneider. I'm Jeff Sneider for Popcorn Talk Network. Make sure you rate, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff.
Tell your friends.
See Sausage Party. You just met the movie press. We're out.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.